Someday, you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. No doubt about that. Nobody grows old merely by living a number of years. We grow old by deserting our ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but not give up enthusiasm wrinkles the soul. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. My beautiful viewers, it's Africa Diary again, so keep our mind refreshed because many things have and are still happening around this amazing continent. You know what I'm talking about? Africa Diary once again, and my name is Ajara Tijani. Welcome on board. Observers of the just concluded parliamentary and local council election in Somaliland have described the exercise as a rude awakening, if not rude shock, to other African nations, especially the Horn region. Somaliland elections, no doubt, was totally peaceful, as generally submitted by many participants, including international observers. In the special press briefing organized by the international observers of the Brainthirst Foundation, which has the chairman of Somaliland Electoral Commission in attendance, the document submitted indicated that other African countries must emulate the peaceful electoral process.
International monitors, such as we were, and observers, appeared to be welcomed everywhere we went and even honored in some polling stations. And it was indeed a great honor to participate in these elections as such an observer or monitor. This was particularly noteworthy from our perspective again during these elections. The three political parties contesting the election appeared to share a view that there's democratic progress. Although conditions, as I've already indicated, were somewhat rudimentary in cases, a can-do, consensus-based approach by all political parties and officials quickly resolved problems on the day to the satisfaction of all.
Dr. Adne Aden, who reacted to the comments on the credibility of the elections, described the exercise as a template to other African nations, especially Somali regions.
Yes, the election parliamentary process that has just taken place in Somaliland should be an example to every African nation. We have set a very high standard for those who have never held elections. This proves, how much they have to work on it to get to where we are. For those who are doing it less well than we are, there's a great room for improvement. And I thank the world for joining us and being here with us and witnessing this democratic process with us.
She justified the fact that 15 years of age limit is the standard that conforms with the topology of the Somaliland tradition.
No, this is our custom. A 15-year-old is considered to be a responsible person. So that's it. It's our custom, it's our tradition. It has served us well. It has propelled our country to where it is today.
Dr. Jama Musa Jama, who expressed overwhelming delight on the conduct of election, affirmed that Somaliland has laid a good example for the world to follow.
It's giving a message saying that Somaliland decided. Somaliland went to decide its own future with the hand and signing a ballot paper. Not with a gun, not with a conflict, but conscience-seeking and rule of law. What really showed in these days is that there is a system that is functional. There is a system that is working. There is a system applied to the democratic process. So that's the message that is going to everywhere, including Somalia. And I think the strong message that's coming out is to the legitimacy that these elections have, and it creates a kind of a witness, external eyes who tell to the world what's happening. Unfortunately, what was happening in the past was that the Western media was labeling Somali people with all the problems that we had, from piracy to terrorism to all the things that was unfortunately happening somewhere else, but under the shade of Somali people. And what's happening here is completely changing and showing the new face, the real face of Somaliland, where democracy prevails, where the consensus seeking prevails, where the traditional way of using the democratic process is prevailing, where we are celebrating after a day really the democracy that's coming from the hearts of the people.
In his remark, the chairman of the Somaliland Electoral Commission, NEC, Abdulrashid Mahmoud Ali, registered his appreciation to all the observers locally and internationally who supported Somaliland in the democratically electioneering success for the local mayoral and parliamentary elections.
I don't think I have today words to express what you're expecting from me. But the good thing is, you all know what I know. We all were together, and I think there's nothing much to tell you. In fact, you were in the field. Thank you very much. I think I'll call you today all ambassadors, Somali.
Taiwan lauds Somaliland for a successful and peaceful election. Taiwan's envoy to Somaliland, Alan C. Liu, has congratulated the Horn of African nation, Somaliland, for successfully holding its parliamentary and local council elections. On the official Twitter page of the Taiwan president, Tsai Ing-wen, she said, "Congratulations to the people and government of Somaliland on conducting the country's first combined parliamentary and local council election." She added, "Taiwan stands with Somaliland, a model for democracy in the region." Taiwan Liu stressed that Somalilanders were so eager to cast their vote that they lined outside voting stations before sunrise. According to him, everyone followed the instruction of staff and entered stations in an orderly manner. He highlighted the fact that despite speculations, party representatives, non-governmental organizations, international friends, and the media were present to observe the election. Just days before the particular election, Taiwan donated 2,500 sets of iris biometric voter verification systems (IBVVS) to complement Somaliland's existing biometric systems to prevent voter fraud. Somaliland was the first country in the world to use IBVVS technology during its 2017 presidential election. The Taiwanese diplomat said in a tweet, "It is impressive to go to the polling stations to see the Somaliland people vote for peace," adding that people's eyes were filled with joy and hope. Liu also said that the fact that Somaliland can still successfully fair, just and open elections despite being in a politically unstable region is admirable and fully demonstrates the country's determination to develop and consolidate its democratic system. This landmark event in its submission was a 2-in-1 parliament and local council election that saw over 1 million registered voters and a total of 798 candidates cast their ballots. Now, as Somaliland succeeded in holding the election, of course, Somalia, the Mogadishu residents reacted to Somaliland election. Somalia has some reservations about Somaliland nationhood, but when it comes to elections, they all agree Somaliland has gone far ahead of them. CBS office in Mogadishu spoke with Somalia residents, and here are the reactions.
Residents in Mogadishu have expressed their concern about this election. Most of them have glorified Somaliland people to successfully manage peaceful, free and transparent elections for the last 2 decades. Expressing their thoughts, noted that Somalia, which is very much against its recognition, should learn more from Somaliland. Some of the residents are demanding electoral experts from Somaliland to train them for holding free and transparent elections in the coming years.
The other Somalis should emulate Somaliland. They should learn a lot from them. Holding peaceful, free and transparent elections. That is exactly what Somaliland has achieved. Look at us. We failed to manage that, and we conduct our elections in a 4.5 formula plan, while in Somaliland, everyone is voting for his or her own favorite candidate. I can say Somaliland have performed better than some of European countries. I believe Somaliland people have achieved major success that their other counterparts had failed to manage. They got a chance to elect who will represent them in the parliament or local council. This means that the general public can determine who will be elected to shape their future politics. Let us be frank, as Somalia people, we are very, very, very far behind Somaliland people. We are congratulating them for the commencement of their elections. We ask them to send experts who will persuade us of holding such free and transparent elections because we failed to manage our own election. Guns have more power than politics on our side. We are your brothers in blood. We need you to train us in holding such peaceful and transparent elections.
The Somaliland parliamentary and local council elections have come and gone, but the exercise has raised a great concern on the disregarding attitude of the general public towards the possible spread of the virus in the country. The Horn of African nation has so far relaxed the COVID-19 restrictions in the country long before the 31st May of election day, even as the country had already entered the second wave. Activities were normal in the capital city of Hargeisa as people went about their businesses. However, when elections drew near, the whole city was painted orange and lemon green as campaigns entered its crescendo stage. More than thousands of different rallies and gatherings were held without observing COVID-19 measures. Supporters moved in train and convoy with songs and party flags without wearing any mask. On the election day, millions of registered Somalilanders troop out in numbers to cast their ballots, but to the dismay of many, no one cares, as the business of the day was just to vote. Foreign observers drew the attention of the Electoral Commission to these serious trends during a briefing. Dr. Gray, however, called on the concerned authorities to rise up to the menace.
We were in Hargeisa, of course, in Berbera, Berau, Sheikh, Baroma and Gabili, and forgive my pronunciation, during the course of the last 48 hours. COVID-19 was not particularly well observed. There was very little in the way of social distancing, but we did note that officials were issued with face masks as well.
Somaliland rolled out vaccination 2 months ago from the 65,000 AstraZeneca vaccines donated through COVAX initiative, but the country still grapples with the virus in some quarters. So far, as of June 1st, 2021, Somaliland Ministry of Health confirmed that 52,395 have been tested, with 177 active cases and 3,960 recovery, while the total number of deaths so far is 311. Ethiopia holds anti-US rally over Tigray. More than 10,000 people in Ethiopia took part in an anti-US rally in the capital Addis Ababa, denouncing President Joe Biden's policy on the conflict in the country's northern region of Tigray. Thousands of the Ethiopian pro-government demonstrators rallied against the United States on Sunday for imposing restrictions on aid over the Tigray conflict. Slogans included, USA, show us your neutrality, Ethiopia doesn't need a caretaker, and fill the dam, a reference to a huge Nile dam opposed by Egypt and Sudan. The demonstration was larger than typical pro-government rallies, and the public criticism of the United States was rare. Ethiopia is facing increasing international pressure over the conflict in Tigray, where its neighboring Eritrea sent troops last year to oust the regional authorities. A week ago, the United States imposed restrictions on economic and security assistance to Ethiopia over the conflict. Washington also said it will bar current or former Ethiopian or Eritrean officials it deems responsible for the crisis. The filling of the $4 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has also sparked international disputes. Ethiopia says the dam's electricity is needed to develop its economy. Sudan and Egypt says it violates their right to Nile waters downriver. Thousands of volcano eruption evacuees have received emergency aid in the Democratic Republic of Congo and the neighboring Rwanda.
Volcano eruption evacuees have received emergency aid in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. The emergency help is coming after deadly volcanic eruption in the Northern Democratic Republic of Congo wiped out everything in its path. Tens of thousands of people have fled to safety, and many crossed into Rwanda but are now returning to see what remains of their homes and belongings. The volcano eruption comes on top of an already tragic humanitarian emergency. Over 2 million people displaced by brutal conflict and violence live in Northern Democratic Republic of Congo, including more than 450,000 forced to flee this year. At least 32 people have died and hundreds more are injured or missing. The United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, warns that nearly 280,000 children may face displacement due to seismic activities. To cushion the effect of the volcano eruption, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees has provided humanitarian assistance to the displaced people in Rwanda. The agency said more people need aid as it is not safe yet for them to return home. On May 22nd, Mount Nyiragongo erupted, spewing torrents of lava into villages and towards Goma, a lakeside city of about 2 million people, followed by a series of earthquakes and tremors, some felt as far away in the Rwandan capital city of Kigali. Authorities issued an evacuation order on May 27, warning that risks of an emergency eruption or further damages were possible.
Unidentified gunmen attacked and wounded Uganda's transport minister and former army commander General Katumba Wamala, killing his daughter and driver. And afterward, the minister had been released from the hospital to pay the final respect to his beloved daughter. Mr. Wamala was injured after gunmen riding on motorcycles shot at his vehicle, killing his daughter and driver. The minister has asked those behind the killings to be arrested and brought to book. One suspect has been arrested in connection with the killings, according to state-owned newspaper. A vigil for the minister's daughter, Brenda Wamala, was held on Wednesday, as shared by a Ugandan national TV of the minister viewing her body. The minister and his daughter were heading for a vigil at his mother-in-law's home on Tuesday when the attack happened. Relatives during the Wednesday vigil said having to bury 2 family members had taken a toll on them. Local media reported Uganda has seen a number of such attacks on high-profile figures over the last few years. The intelligence services have never solved any of the cases so far. A group of some of the world's most powerful oil producers agreed on Tuesday to continue gradually easing production cuts amid a rebound in oil prices, especially in Africa.
A group of some of the world's most powerful oil producers agreed on Tuesday to continue gradually easing production cuts amid a rebound in oil prices. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, known collectively as OPEC Plus, decided in April to return to 2.1 million barrels per day of supply to the market during May through July as it anticipated demand would rise despite high numbers of coronavirus cases in India. Since that decision, oil prices have extended their rally and have now gained more than 30% this year, although the prospect of more crude from Iran as talks on reviving its nuclear deal make progress has limited the upside. International benchmark Brent crude futures traded at $71.17 a barrel on Tuesday, up around 2.7%, while Texas Intermediate crude futures stood at $68.65 for a gain of more than 3% and the contract's highest level in more than 2 years. Oil prices have climbed more than 30% this year. The Middle East-dominated group, which is responsible for over one-third of global oil production, is seeking to balance an expected upswing in demand with the potential for an increase in Iranian output. The alliance announced massive crude production cuts in 2020 in an effort to support prices when the coronavirus pandemic coincided with a historic demand shock. OPEC Plus still forecast a 6 million barrel per day jump in oil demand in 2021, equivalent to 6% of global consumption.
In Mali's Sahel region of Africa, many things have happened actually, but coup was the top of it. Leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and African Union, AU, have suspended Mali's membership from the bloc following last week's military coup. The strong African bodies came to the decision to suspend Mali immediately due to incessant coups and threats to impose sanctions on the Sahel states.
Leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have suspended Mali's membership from the bloc following last week's military coup. The coup leader and now interim president, Colonel Assimi Goïta, attended the meeting in the Ghanaian capital, Accra. Ghana's Foreign Minister Charlie Ayoko Bochwe said after the meeting that the West African bloc has called on Mali to nominate a new civilian prime minister immediately, to adhere to an 18-month transition period and to hold presidential election next February. Earlier, President Muhammadu Buhari and other ECOWAS leaders met yesterday in Ghana to decide on fresh sanctions against Mali. Chairman of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government, President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana, said the party would holistically review the situation and impose appropriate measures. Meanwhile, President Emmanuel Macron has warned that France would withdraw troops from Mali if political instability there leads to greater radicalization from the insurgent groups in the country. France has 5,100 troops in the Sahel region, which has been a front line in the war against violent militancy. Macron said his country would not support countries where there was no democracy, legitimacy, or transition, and that France had no intention of keeping its troops in Africa forever. French troops have been supporting forces in Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Chad to battle militants in the Sahel region since 2013.
And lastly, from the Africa's populous nation, Nigeria, the federal government has insisted that it will not pay any ransom to secure the release of students from an Islamic school in the north-central Nigerian state of Niger on Sunday. The capturing or abduction of students have become a lucrative business in that part of the country.
The law enforcement agencies are working hard to regain confidence against the bandits so that people can go back to the land.
The federal government of Nigeria has insisted that it would not pay any ransom to secure the release of students from an Islamic school in the north-central Nigeria state of Niger on Sunday. The government said this after government abducted 136 students from an Islamic school in the north-central part of the country. The worst case this year saw 279 girls taken in Jangebe in February. While speaking on the fresh mass kidnapping, the Deputy Governor of Niger State, Ahmed Mohamed Ketso, said the state government was pursuing the kidnappers and efforts were being made to identify them, but ruled out paying ransom. And to further prevent abductions, the Deputy Governor said police officers have been posted to schools in the region as a stepped-up security measure. More than 700 students have been kidnapped for ransom since December by armed groups after raids on schools and universities in northern Nigeria. The government denies paying ransom, but it is widely believed to have done so. President Muhammadu Buhari condemned the kidnapping and urged security agencies to secure the immediate release of the children.
Already challenged by terrorists seeking to establish parallel systems would further compound the security and stability of our areas and neighboring countries. It is therefore our collective duty, and in honor of the memory of the men and women that have died in search of peace in the region, to rise in unison as leaders of the region to ensure that peace, stability, and security are not disrupted in the entire region.
All right, viewer, we hope we've been updated you on the happenings around African continent and so much more on the way. Right about now, after the news update, we'll give you African Tomopep. We'll be right back. Thank you so very much for staying tuned from the beginning of the program till this moment, and we hope you enjoyed what we served you in terms of African delicacies. I'm talking about the proverbs actually. My name remains Ajara Tijani. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and follow us on our Facebook channel and of course YouTube. This is CBAtv. Once again, I am your anchor, your regular host, Ajara Tijani. Bye for now.